Yo, what is going on? And welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, a beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I'm Ramsey Abushala, editor of urbanpitch.com. To my left on the couch, Julio Monterosa, co-executive director of Vibes. For the second week in a row, he has stepped up, sole executive director of Vibes today.
I don't know.
How's that workload treating you, Julio?
Man, I'm a little tired, but I feel like a writer should be coming soon.
Okay.
Bridget can't be missing anymore. I can't just do this all myself.
Yeah. We're missing Bridge again. She's busy. She's got things to do. But we do have a very, very special guest. We only do special guests here on the Urban Pitch Podcast. He's on the Colorado Rapids. Just
killing it this season.
Absolutely killing it this season. He's been a breakout star in the MLS over the last few years. Cole Bassett, thank you so much for joining the show. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
No complaints.
No complaints on this side, man.
Yeah. I mean, so I want to talk about this season for the Rapids because obviously, compared to last year, we had John Lewis and Keegan on the show last year, and when we were talking about how things were going, it was kind of a struggle. They were talking about how they were just trying to keep the morale up and keep their heads up during a difficult time. This year, it's a kind of an opposite story. What's the biggest difference between this year and last year? I know the team made some big signings. Morale-wise, 1 year ago today versus today, what's the biggest differences?
Probably Chris Armas, to be honest. It's he's changed the building around, man. He just brings a positive energy that's hard to kind of replicate for other coaches. I'd say he's so good with man management. He's not just changed the players, but I think it's just the whole culture, like I was talking about. Everybody enjoys coming into work, which I think is one of the best parts. But we've got everybody bought in, and you can see it, and that's why our depth is being tested right now. But we still feel like we're doing pretty well, and we feel like we have quality. So I'd say that's the biggest difference, man. Is one man has kind of came in and changed the locker room.
Yeah, and I think in MLS there's it's never. I mean, you have some teams, like a handful of teams that are top of the table, but I feel like it's so compared to other leagues across the world, the parity is so much higher. Where one team like you guys last year finished bottom of the table in the West. This year, currently in fourth place. Like the ability to turn things around is I feel like a little bit more possible in MLS. Can you speak to that at all in your experience in the league over the last few years?
Yeah, it is something that's different than other leagues. I've obviously had experience in the Netherlands, and
Right.
I've been a team that was at the top of that league and then at the bottom of that league. And yeah, it kind of stays quite similar throughout the years. There's maybe teams in the middle of the pack that might jump up a couple places or have a bad season and stuff like that. But for the most part, you kind of know what you're going to get in terms of where teams are going to fall. I think that's the beauty of MLS. It's one of those leagues that, you have no clue who's going to do well. The two bottom teams from last year have made big rebounds this year, us and Toronto. And yeah, it's one of the fun parts, I would think, maybe being a GM in this league, is that you're not going to be at the bottom. You can go and change things around. You can make your roster and build it from scratch and be able to change your season around and really just in 1 year, which is something special. So I think it's good for us as players. We enjoy it. You don't want to be at the bottom. And we were able to bring in some key players like Djordje, Zack, bring back Sammy Vines, and those guys have helped us tremendously. So I think that's the special part about MLS is, you can go 1 year you're bad, and then the next year you can compete for a title. But I think the way that we want to go with this club now is to stay at the top. You don't want to just be on and off and have a good year, then go back to a bad year. We want to be consistently in the playoffs.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online, the game starts here.
Now, speaking about that, as a player, what do you do playing in the team that's in the bottom compared to what do you have to do when you're playing one of the teams that are already on the top? What is the difference there?
I mean, Chris tries to instill into us that there isn't too much of a difference, but I would say every single team comes with something different. The teams at the top tend to have the ball a bit more. I would really say the one team that we've played at the top that maybe didn't have the ball too much was LAFC. They really don't care to have the ball too much. They'll just hit you in transition. And I don't know if you guys watched them in Leagues Cup the other night, but I think
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how much their possession stats were, but Tijuana had the ball a lot, and they ended up having like 4.8 xG or something like that. Like they're deadly on the counterattack. But besides that, all the teams at the top tend to have the ball a bit more. So our game plan changes a little bit. I think we're a team that's flexible and we've got good tactics. So I think when it comes to teams at the bottom, we tend to have the ball a bit more, and then those teams at the tops, we tend to kind of sit in the mid block and wait to transition. So I think that's due to Chris Armas, though. He's kind of instilled that in us this year.
Yeah, yeah. And then, I mean, across the league, I feel like MLS is a very offensive-heavy league just because of the way, salary caps are structured. The premiums end up going towards offensive-minded players. But where do you see, I mean, and you see that in, like, the amount of bangers that are scored. And, like, you see, like, an MLS highlight tape from a weekend, and it's, like, 4 or 5 goals that – it's just like ridiculous and mind-bending. And that's one of my favorite parts of watching the league and paying attention to the league. And when other people kind of, because you know how people are, they want to denigrate the league a little bit and say, it's not as serious as, some of the European leagues. But, I mean, my thing is always just watch the game. It's very entertaining, especially from an offensive side. But what do you see from on a week in and week out basis? Just training alongside some of these players, playing against some of them, and what does that bring to your game?
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the attackers. I mean, it's a lot of these guys could be top attackers in maybe bottom half Prem teams, something like that. I mean, a lot of these teams, especially we don't get to play the East teams all the time, so I'll just speak on the West. But when you look at both of the LA teams, Salt Lake this year, they're attacking guys. I mean, Seattle throughout the years has had good guys. I mean, it feels like every single team has 1 or 2 guys that are top quality players that can score 10 goals easily every single year. So it's quite tough to defend against, I would say. When you're making a game plan and you got to go against Bawanga, now Giroud.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm seeing Griezmann rumors out there. Like if they get them, it's tough to be able to defend against those guys, but I love it. Like you're asking how I feel doing it. It's a challenge every single week, and then for me, it pushes me. Like I'm a midfielder, but I want to be an attacking midfielder, and I love scoring goals. So it pushes me to get more goals, and I think you see that this season. It's even bringing in Djordje as well. Like it's another attacking player that kind of pushes me to, he's got 10 goals, I got 9. It's like I want to beat him. He probably wants to beat me in terms of goals, and yeah, I think the more better players you have throughout the league, it pushes everybody to continue pushing those numbers, and that's why the attacking output's so good in this league.
Yeah. Talk about Djordje, because you mentioned, Zack and Djordje specifically as, kind of new additions to the team. What do they bring in terms of like experience? Obviously, Djordje's in the Olympics scoring goals. Zack, Steffen, internationally with the USMNT or at Man City. What did they bring in terms of experience, in terms of leadership, to the locker room?
Yeah, I'll start with Djordje. I think he's not one that's to be a vocal leader, but he just leads in his actions. Like he's quality, man. We've kind of had similar experiences, so I think we relate pretty well. We both had 1 year stints in the same league for similar level teams in the Netherlands, and then we've both been homegrowns and main attacking outputs for our teams in MLS. And I think we've connected pretty well, and we've formed a close bond. And even though I'd love to be with him at the Olympics right now, I think it's amazing seeing what he did in these last couple of games. Like we had training today, so we didn't get to see his free kick goal live, but then they're showing it to us after training, and we all love it. I know he probably won't let me have one after doing that this year, which kind of sucks. But yeah, he's a great player, man. I would say he leads through his actions. And then Zack, he's just kind of got an aura about him. He's cool. He's swaggy, like his outfits as well when you see him pulling up to games. And he's got a leadership in the locker room as well that, when he speaks, everybody listens. It's just, yeah, the kind of this aura about him that everybody really respects him and sees what he's done throughout his career. and we love that he's back with us. We love that he's performing for us, and I think in the last month or so he's really stepped up confidence wise, and yeah, he's been playing well for us. So I can't wait to see as we're all kind of signed on similar term contracts right now, lengthwise. So we've got a good core right now. I like where we're headed.
Before we talk to the outfits, because I already know Colorado already, you guys are battling it off for who has the best outfit game after game. It's a few of you guys, but you're one of the younger leaders. You're only 23, and you're one of those leaders for the team as well. What is your leading style?
I tend to be quite vocal. I don't know if some of the guys think it might be a little weird hearing a younger guy speak. But for me, it's kind of how I've always been. I feel more confident myself when I'm speaking and helping other people out. And, I think that my team, respects me in a way and they listen. But I just feel like I have a pretty good sense for the game. I study it a lot. Like I have a confidence in myself that, I've put in all the work and I watch a lot of film and watch a lot of other games that I feel like I have a good knowledge of the game. So I want to help other people out and help boost the team. When you have guys on your side that are playing for you, I think that helps you out. So any way I can speak to anybody else, doesn't matter their age, to give them confidence, I think allows me to be a leader on this team. And I think we got a good group of leaders. We obviously got Keegan as our captain. But I feel
Hey
like
man, that's all star. Yeah.
yeah, he's been a stud for us, man.
Does he cut your hair too?
Yeah.
Sometimes he cut me this week. I have two barbers that I go to normally. But if I'm too busy and don't have time to go to the shop, then yeah, he cuts me up.
Do the barbers take it personally?
I don't think. I hope not. Maybe they do. Oh, barbers, yeah, maybe they do. But I just tell them, look, like sometimes I don't have time to drive to your shop. Sometimes I got to go to the other guy just to mix it up a bit. So.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best line ever.
No. So I mean, you are a young player, but you do coming up so young as a homegrown talent. You do have that experience. What was that like for you? Growing up in Colorado, getting a chance to play for the Rapids, coming up and making your debut at a young age. Can you take us through that experience and what that was like for you?
Was special, man. It was a lot easier than it is nowadays. I have a younger brother who's hopefully signing for us next year. He's a senior in college, and I tell him it was a lot easier for me to break in than you, man. He's got to go against me now, so that's a little bit. But yeah, I think I came in at the right time. I think there was only like three 2001s signed at the time that I signed. And there wasn't too many young players in the league. Now you see so many young guys, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So it was a lot easier back then. I just don't think the league had the same quality that it does now. But I came in at a perfect time that I've grown with the league. So I think it's been perfect for me, and now I've got a lot of experiences under my belt, like you said, and now I feel like I'm one of the, for me, I have the confidence that I'm one of the best midfielders in the league.
Yeah. I mean, 14. Kevon Sullivan, like that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to check. I didn't check your guys' schedule. I don't know if you guys have Philly on the rest of the year, but
Yeah, I don't think so.
when you eventually do line up against him, like how do you take that? Is he another player? Do you kind of try to welcome him to the league a little bit, or
little elbow here?
Yeah. What's the mindset when you go up against a player like that?
Yeah, I think what you said, welcome him to a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I've seen clips of him. He looks unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, at 14, I definitely wasn't doing what he's doing. So props to him. But yeah, when you're competing, it's the same as like if you're going against Messi. Like obviously it's different ends of the spectrum there, but I think you play the exact same. You're out there to win, and for me, I don't care who I'm playing against. I'm trying to win the game, show that I'm a top player. So even though he's 14, yeah, you gotta maybe welcome him to the league a little bit. But yeah, I have a good feeling that kid's gonna be quite good in the next few years.
Yeah. Did you have a similar experience coming up as a teenager in the league?
Yeah, what was your welcome to the league moment?
Gosh, that's tough. I mean, my first year, it didn't go like exactly how you'd want it, but it was pretty smooth. I like my first game, my academy coach texted me. I didn't have like a missed pass or anything. I kind of got lucky with how it was. Uh, Maybe my first game on the bench, I think we lost 6-1 to Real Salt Lake. So I wasn't like on the field, but that was like, wow, losing to your rivals, first game on the bench. That one hurt quite a bit. I had my whole family come out as a watch party, and then that happens. So yeah, maybe that, but I can't quite remember a moment just like that of like, wow, welcome to the league.
You spoke about Messi. Like, what other players that you've played against? Because like, we see it from TV, and we're like, that guy is good. But like, is there some players you're like, yeah, you guys think he's good, but watch defend him on the field. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a couple, man. Vela in his season where he broke the record. I think he scored a hat trick on us in the final day to break the record and send it over the top.
The first goal he did, yeah, I was at that game.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. The I don't like the scissor kick bike or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite incredible. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, now I'd say when I went over to Feyenoord, that was the era where Ajax was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
They had Tadic, Anthony, um, yeah, David Neres, that whole bunch, Onana, um, Lissandro Martinez. Like they just had their whole starting
Squad.
11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah,
the young guys coming up, right?
yeah, exactly. So I'd say probably them. Maybe Ryan Gravenberch. I was really impressed with him when we played against him. So yeah, I'd probably say that team was quite good. That like maybe guys that aren't as big a names, but once you play them, they're so good on the ball.
Yeah, talk about that experience with Feyenoord a little bit because, I think that's a lot of goal. That's the goal for a lot of young players in MLS that show their talent in the league, and then you've seen a handful of other players kind of take that route. But what was that like for you in terms of experience, like to yourself, proving to yourself that you can play in that league, and just the biggest differences between playing in Europe and playing in the U.S.
Yeah, it was a big dream of mine, and I actually feel like I still have a bit to prove there.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't play as much as I wanted to, and with the team I went on loan to, Fortuna Sittard, that was the kind of show that I was good enough to play over there, and then that situation just didn't work out the way that I thought it would. So I feel like I have a bit to prove there, and that's why I do want to go back to Europe and just prove to myself, not really to anybody else, but that I can play in a top league over there consistently and play in Champions League and European competitions, stuff like that. Biggest differences for me, it was a very tactical league over there. They play out of everything. I mean, if you're in the corner of your own box, you're trying to play rondo or tiki taka, play and move.
Yeah.
Just a different league. I think it was tighter spaces. MLS is quite open and more transition, but the league has gotten a lot better in terms of possession style. I think what Nancy's doing in Columbus has kind of made
Mm-hmm.
teams think a little bit differently about the game. So both leagues are good and they're different in different ways. I think it's a challenge wherever you go. Like one's not easier than the other, just it brings different challenges.
There's a lot of talk about like our top MLS teams being able to compete, probably not being the best teams, but being middle of the table. Do you see that, or are we still far away from that being a possibility?
I don't think as far away as people think. I mean, Columbus, I know it's preseason first game, and Villa, I don't know if they started their starting team or not, but Columbus beat them 4-1. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for me, I think if you're putting Columbus or LAFC or one of those top guns against a mid-table Prem side when they're both in form, I think it's a close game. I don't think yeah, Premier League might have the upper edge, but I don't think it's as far off as people think. I think a lot of fans are just like, oh, MLS is way worse than the rest of these leagues. I really don't think it's like way off. There's definitely a quality jump with those leagues over there. There's a reason why it's a Premier League. But I think if you're playing maybe a relegation fighting side, I think, Nancy's football might win that.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Is there a difference having to playing for like you played at one of the bottom teams over there? Being relegated is that an extra pressure that is involved? Will it help out the MLS if that will happen on this side?
Yeah, there is an extra pressure, man. It definitely it changes you. I think it matures you. I luckily wasn't too close to the relegation zone when I was there, and I left halfway through the season with that team, so I didn't kind of get into the knit and grit of it. But there definitely is a pressure. I mean, talking with Tanner and Boos at Venezia when they had to go through that
Yep.
season, like I think it made them way better players. You see where they're at now. They're both balling and they're doing really well, and I think that matured them having that season. I think yeah, having it over here, it's a tough one because you have 30 teams now that I
Yeah.
think most of their owners they didn't buy it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
second
yeah.
division, So you can't really change that. But I think if it comes a point where there's more expansion teams and maybe you get to like 36 to 40 MLS teams, then yeah, maybe you have 20 and 20 or 18 and 18. And then it's all maybe technically under MLS, but there's a first division and there's a second division.
Right.
I don't know. It's all of us could debate on it all day, but I don't think the owners have much debate on what they want.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough sell. Pretty tough sell
Yeah.
to the owners in terms
Yeah.
of implementing that. But what about like, because everyone's always talking about that I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Europe. At least the majority of the players that we talk to, having played in both MLS and the Eredivisie, is there aspects of MLS that you prefer to the European leagues? Can you talk on that at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're talking about the attackers. I think I love the attacking football that we have here. It's for me, I like both styles of the game, but I do love opening up the legs and getting in transition and using speed and being able to play at speed, which I think is quite different to there. But I also love being in possession and having the ball the whole game. Just I think here you maybe know you're going to get more chances than over there. You really have to be um, like quality with possession and earn your chances, I'd say a lot more over there. Whereas here you might know you're going to get a few more. So I'd say it's maybe just a bit more fun if you're an attacker. But yeah, each league, like I said before, has differences that make it enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Leagues Cup? Because now, obviously, with that ramping up, that's got people kind of on the fence on both sides, and it might be a little bit polarizing to some fans. But what are your thoughts on now it being in its second year? Is the intensity different? Is it just another game, or do you kind of look forward to playing against these Liga MX sides?
Yeah, I love it. I look forward to it. I think it's a different challenge. The Liga MX teams, they play a different style than us, and I think it provides a big challenge to us. We go down to Querétaro every
Yeah.
preseason the last couple of years, and even when we play, I don't know exactly what their second division's called, but even when we play some of their second division teams, like I'm quite impressed with how technical they are and the style that they play. Like they stick to it and they're pretty good at it. So I'm excited. We got a good team in Leon in our group that is going to be a tough challenge for us. And then Portland is doing quite well in the league right now and got the win the other night as well. So we're excited. And we know that it's a tournament. You have a chance to win a trophy. So I think any player in their career, if you can win a trophy, that's something special. And it only takes 7 games. So I know it's a long ways away. You got to beat a lot of teams, but it is fairly close.
Yeah. You get a nice bonus too for winning.
Yeah, yeah.
That always
That
helps.
never hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, I think the players we quite enjoy that part as well.
As an athlete, having two parents that were athletes, dad doing track, mom doing hockey, if I'm not mistaken. How does that help you out in the long term, as an athlete yourself?
Yeah, they deserve a lot of credit. I mean, that's where I feel like I've gotten my athletic genes from. Stamina wise, I feel like they've helped tremendously. I don't know if it's growing up in the Colorado air or if it's them, running track and field hockey, you have to run a lot in that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they've just made us who we are. They had us play a lot of sports when we were younger too. So they got us into it when we were about 3 years old, and I think that's down to them of why we've had so much repetitions and so much practice to get where we are is because they put us in these sports at such a young age.
Yeah. What other sports did you grow up playing?
So we started with baseball and soccer, and then my dad, he still plays hockey right now in a beer league. So he loved hockey and he put us on skates quite early. We played basketball as well until high school, and then one of our best friends was a rugby coach, so he had me go try out. But I'm a little skinny for rugby, so that was quite tough.
Yeah, with the Olympics on, I started watching some rugby. That's. I mean, I
I'm
might be
good.
a new rugby fan. I might start like trying to seek it out because that's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the 7-a-sides is quite different. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
a lot.
points or top or tries or whatever it's called. But yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, And I mean, I think there's a lot of talk about specialization, and a lot of kids now are really going for one sport. And there's some studies that say that it might lead to more injury or burnout. What's your take on having such a diverse array of sports growing up, and how did that help you as a soccer player?
Parts of me wish like I started from four with soccer and just trained that my whole life. Like I look back and I'm like, wow, I wish I worked on my left foot more, worked on dribbling so that, if I was a one sport athlete my whole life, maybe I would be better at my age or have a better base or a better foundation. But I think I loved it. It gave me a chance to choose what I love to do, kind of what you're talking about in terms of burnout. Like I chose football because I love it. And I still was at a fairly young age of 12 when I decided to go just with that. But it still gave me a chance for about 7 years to do other sports. So yeah, I think it's good if you're a parent, you kind of let your kid choose what they want to do, and then from there, I think it's on them. If they want to run with it, go for it, and then you can push them within that.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of doing the stuff that you love, you got a chance to play for the U.S. Men's national team.
Debuted and a goal.
Yeah, and scored in was that in L.A. Against Bosnia?
Bosnia.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I remember because I think we were at that game. What was your experience like? And I know you've had a couple of trials here. You were on the short list for the Olympics team as well. What was it like training and playing for the U.S. national team, and how different of an environment is that compared to the club side of things?
It's an honor. It's something that you dream about as a kid. You watch. For me, the 2014 World Cup was my fondest memory, I think, of the U.S. Sitting there with friends, watching them beat Ghana in the first game, was something special. And then, thinking about it now, having a chance to represent your country and then scoring as well. Yeah, it was something special and something I'll never forget. But, I'm hungry to get back in there. I feel like I'm good enough to be in that squad, but you got to prove it week in, week out. And you also have to play in top leagues and show these performances to the national team coach. But it's a level that I want to play at. I want to play against the best people on the biggest stages. So I think international football is where that is. Yeah, so for me, I can't wait to get back in there. I wish I was at the Olympics right now because that's a big stage, and
Yeah.
it was an opportunity to maybe show clubs across the world who you really are. But at the same time, it's not being there has allowed me to be able to beat Salt Lake last week, which I wouldn't have been able to do. So I think you gotta take or take everything as it comes and kind of just wherever you're at in the moment, make the most of it.
Yeah, that rivalry I feel like is a little bit underrated in MLS. I mean, you always hear El Tráfico here in LA, or Portland, Seattle, or Cincy and Columbus. But talk about the Colorado Real Salt Lake rivalry, because especially now that both of you guys are doing really well, what is that like lining up against them in that rivalry?
It's fun. It's been a lot of fun games. I think for a neutral as well. I think it 2-1, 5-3, and 3-2 this year. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've had some good games, good battles. For me, it was weird growing up as a kid. Salt Lake wasn't our rival in the academy. Like for us, we always looked at FC Dallas because Salt Lake wasn't in our division. So it was kind of Kansas City, Dallas, Houston. Austin wasn't a team at the time. So I'd say mainly Dallas, though. Those were the teams that we were competing with at the top. So it was a bit different once you transition to first team football that you have Salt Lake as your rival. So I kind of had to switch up a bit and kind of focus on them a bit more than Dallas, but it's been fun. I think, yeah, maybe the reason why it hasn't been talked as much as a rivalry as other ones is they won the cup for quite a few years, but at least for me, it's 2-2. I've played in it for 4 years, and it's been a battle back and forth, and we've won it twice. They've won it twice in the time that I've been here and actually been on the field. So I quite enjoy those games, and it would be something special if we met up in playoffs this year. I think after the games we've had so far this year.
Yeah, it seems like MLS, I mean, I'm not going to throw this out there, but it seems like they kind of rigged the standings for it to be, because, I mean, a couple years ago we saw LAFC, LA Galaxy in the play, and that was one of the most exciting games that I've seen. And then it seems like in the U.S. Open Cup, they draw each other all the time. So I don't know. Hopefully, I would love to see that as well this year with both you guys on track to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what we're looking to. We want that home field advantage. So they got a 3-point gap, I think, right now in points.
Yeah.
So we got to make that up in the last 8 games of the season.
Yeah, and how different is it playing in front of the home fans? Because we spoke to Holding the High Line, they're a Colorado Rapids podcast, and they're talking about the fan experience and just how tight knit the fan group is, and
$20 beers, all you can drink, all you can eat. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, I know. So they've been trying to get us to go out there, and I really, we're all talk at this point because we haven't gone yet. Probably 5 or 6 episodes now that we need to make it out to Colorado. But what is it like playing in front of those fans, and what is your experience with the Rapids fan base been like?
Yeah, they've always been great to me. I think we've had a good relationship ever since I started. But the thing that I've loved this year is I just see more and more of them coming out. That Real Salt Lake game, I think it was a sellout, I believe, before we had our weather delay. And it was kind of like the first time that I really said to our teammates when we went in at halftime, after we scored 2 goals back to back, I was like, that kind of felt like Europe a little bit. It was raining, they were going wild. It was an intense game, and I haven't really felt that as much when you come back to MLS. Like, for me, the best part about being in Europe was the atmospheres. There's nothing like it in the U.S. I think the U.S. tends to put on more of a show, so it's just not the same atmosphere as Europe. But that was the first time that I really felt like, this is European atmosphere. I can get after this right now, and go out there and show the fans why they came to this game. So I was quite impressed with how they showed out. I heard they had a good tifo as well. I didn't see it personally during the game, but I saw it a lot on social media afterwards. So I think they're stepping up their game.
What do you mean by you said the U.S. tends to put on a show a little bit more? What can you go into that and the difference between that and the atmospheres that you saw in Europe?
Yeah, I think it's all U.S. sports. You go to a football,
more of a spectacle type.
Spectacle. Yeah, I think it's more of an entertainment. Sometimes, I think for us, football, like American soccer, is the best at not putting on a show. In a sense, it's kind of just a football match, but there still is bits and pieces that tend to make it a bit more of a spectacle than an actual, derby or a football match where that's the only thing that matters. Everybody's into it. There's times at games where not everybody's paying attention to the game and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say the European atmospheres are different in that case. The fans are tuned in for the whole time. They're singing the whole time. It's something special to play in front of every week. So I think if we can get to that point in MLS, that would be amazing. And the players can help drive that. If you're playing entertaining football, I think more people are going to come and more people are going to cheer. So I think we can be the driving force for that.
Yeah, so they weren't doing the wave in Rotterdam?
They're not doing the wave in Rotterdam, no.
That's the best part of the soccer game.
Yeah, no, it's quite different, man.
So I know, Julio, you mentioned and you also touched on it too, the outfits. Between Zack, Steffen, when we had John Lewis on, John Lewis gave us a tour of his shoe closet, right?
He asked me. He said, "I got some stuff back here." That's what he said. Yeah. He brought us some shoes out. He showed us all that stuff. He said, I think he said, Kaden Lacosta let him know that he got to step up his gear, and he has not failed since.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So talk about the competitiveness of showing up because John said that he showed up one day kind of bummy and he got some heat from Kellen. What is that atmosphere like? Because I know Team Intel they gave me that you're drip of the day winner multiple times this season. So what does it get competitive between you guys? What is that atmosphere like?
It definitely got a lot more competitive when Kel was here. I'll say that he was the driving force for that, and he kind of taught me and Johnny a little bit of our ways and just how to find our own style. So I wish we still had him in the locker room because he was like a big brother to me. But yeah, in the locker room, I think we all kind of just admire it now. I wouldn't say there's as much of a competition as there used to be, but we definitely all pay attention, that's for sure. And I think for me, looking at Zack Steffen, he's been MVP so far this year. I'm not even gonna say myself in that. I think he's definitely came with the best drip. But yeah, it's been tough here, man. It's like 100 degrees every single week right now. So you really can't, like the last 4 games or so, you're just putting on a t-shirt and trying to wear some cool pants with it. Maybe rock your shoes. It's maybe time for the shoe game to step out a little bit right now. But yeah, this heat's killing me because I love wearing layers or layering my outfits. So it's quite tough to do that in the warm weather.
Yeah, I don't think you really associate heat with Denver either. So
Yeah.
that's got to be a little bit of a curveball for you guys.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've had fires here as well too recently, so it's been tough weather-wise. But yeah, I always say that, fashion for me, that's why I love the East Coast, is because it just gets colder and you're more into it. That's why Europe, you can wear layers almost year round. There's really only 2 months of the year where it's like hot, hot. So it's quite tough when it's hot to have good fashion. I don't like when you can't wear much. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the fall season coming up.
Hey, if you were really dedicated, you'd be in layers in the heat,
Yeah.
sweating for
Yeah.
the drip.
You gotta get a drippy towel to go with the sweat. You gotta figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is true. But I think you can wear your accessories right now. Shoe games and accessories, sunglasses, jewelry. Yeah, that's the summertime where it really comes out.
Yeah. But will you guys get both of the extremes in Denver? Because obviously, towards the end of the season, or maybe even in the beginning of the season, there's still like remnants of the winter. How difficult is it to play, and what do you prefer between playing in the cold and playing in the heat?
Depends how cold it is, but I would say ideal for me is like 50 degrees. Like I'd prefer colder over the heat. But when it's like 20 degrees or maybe even less, like we've had some cold games in Denver. Those are obviously no fun. I think I'd rather be playing in 100 degrees. But if you could find that happy medium like England, I think England is perfect. So, yeah, if we could.
I don't think anyone said England has perfect weather before. I don't think that's the first time anyone's
Yeah,
ever said that.
I might be third. Yeah, that's true. But at least like when the football match is going on, for me, that's what I want to play in. I wouldn't say I want to live in it as much, but yeah, when you're playing, I think rain and cloudy, that's good with me.
Yeah, that's real footballer type stuff.
Nothing like slide tackling when it's raining and you go 2 yards extra. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, well, you can't knee slide like right now. I can't do a knee slide here in the dry grass after you score.
Yeah, that's more what he's talking about. He's more talking about the
Celebration.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh, exactly.
It's for the post later on.
Right.
After you score the goal, right?
Yeah, you'll be getting turf burn now if you try doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you plan out your celebrations before? Because I mean, 9 goals this season. Is that a career high so far?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So are you planning out your celebrations in your head before you score, or is it kind of spur of the moment?
I get asked to do stuff sometimes. Sometimes by teammates, sometimes by friends or my sister. She likes to tell me stuff to do. I always stick to. I don't know how I never thought of it before, but with my name, Cold, same as Cold Summer.
Yeah,
Like I love what he did last year, and yeah, so that's been my go-to for. I at least do it once for every single goal. But if a teammate says, hey, they want to do something, on the side, or if my sister tells me to do something, I'll do that. I have a few planned once I score a hat trick or a brace because I haven't got that yet in a game, so I'm kind of waiting for that. But I have a couple that I want to pull out.
Have you brought back the handshake celebration?
Oh yeah, yeah. But we used to do it like every single time one of us scored or something. We're now just doing it when we connect on something.
All
So
right.
yeah, we've pulled it out a couple times this year though, which has been good. So yeah, it's came out a few times.
To make a good handshake, what goes into making a great handshake?
I wish I knew, to be honest. That one just kind of came to us. We were just sitting there, and one of us went like that, and then we were like, how could we incorporate it in? And we just wanted to do something quick. So it was mostly Vinesy that came up with that one. So I'm not very good at that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like you guys have a pretty good dynamic on the field, and especially sometimes it's kind of hard when you have newer players coming into the fold. But I know you said you guys from the coaching staff down, it's kind of been a concerted effort to have that dynamic and have the camaraderie between players. But what is it? What is that like? It seems like you guys are really enjoying yourselves out there.
Yeah, it's been a fun year. We're all quite similar in age, I think, which has made it even more fun. I think we're the youngest team in the West, I believe, is what our coaches told us. I'm not for sure on that, but it definitely feels like it. Like you feel like you connect with everybody well, you can relate to everybody. We're all fairly in similar stages of life right now. So it's quite fun on and off the field. Like you can hang out with these guys and go to the pool, go golfing. Like we have a big group of guys that love to golf. And yeah, just hang out. I think that's the best part. So I think it bodes well on the field because then you're connected off the field and then you feel that connection on the field as well.
Yeah. Julio and I just really got the golf bug over the last couple of years. So we've been so we've been going out when we can and hacking it out there. But
how are the golf courses in LA?
It's hit and miss. It's depending on where you go. There's some places where you can get really good value. But a lot of the nicer courses are going to run you up and be pretty expensive. And then, the city courses, depending on the time of year, depending on what city courses, they're not as well kept. And then you get the slow play. But I can't, really speak to slow play because we usually contribute to that. So
keep it going. Keep it going.
I love to in practice preach the pace of play, but I don't always do, as I say. So it is what it is. But
come out.
Yeah,
we slow down a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. How about in Colorado? How's it? Because does the ball actually fly? Are you getting 320, 330 on those drives up there?
I can't say I am, but it definitely does fly further though. Like if you guys ever come out here and you play golf, you'll know it's like a good 10 yards for sure. I would say with your clubs. Right, so nice. It definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, does it go straighter too? Because that's what I need.
I wish that was the case too. It's still going this way and this way.
Yeah. Okay, so we touched on the fashion. We touched on some of the off pitch stuff, but one thing that we love to talk about is music. It's one thing we make sure to talk about with every guest. Who's on your current rotation? Do you have a certain summer playlist that you're listening to?
Pre-match playlist.
Yeah. What do you have? What are you listening to in the moment?
I'm a big country guy. I wouldn't say that's what I listen to before games, but any other time of the day, that's really all I'm listening to is country. Parents kind of put me on that from a young age, and yeah, I don't know why. I've been loving almost every single type of country too, which before I was kind of stuck to just the mainstream guys, but yeah, I've really been listening to a lot of that. I think before a game, when that comes on, my mode kind of shifts a little bit, and then it's kind of into hip hop, rap, and then some house as well, depending on the beat that you're kind of getting. But I kind of like to mix it up a lot. So I don't really have like one main guy that I'm listening to every single time. But when it comes game time, Drake, Travis Scott, Kendrick, I love Kygo, Alesso. So I'll change it up a little bit, and then I'm not really on the aux. It's the French boys, Kevin Cabral.
Oh right. Oh yeah.
He's on the aux, so a lot of French music as well before games.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're the first country boy that we had on the show. That's interesting.
Yeah, they don't like it in the locker room. I'm trying to get a few of the guys to change. Like I had Mike Edwards and Darren Yappy. They came to the Morgan Wallen concert with me. They'd never really listened to country before, so I think it's starting to spread around a bit. But I think the way you got to get them is you show them the girls that go to these.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I won the stagecoach. Exactly. I don't even listen to the country. Now I'm a big Luke Bryan fan.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Listening to them, they're like, oh, maybe I should like this.
Yeah, actually, my girlfriend is a big country fan. Their family, they're big into it. I'm like, not too much of a fan, but I did go to Zack Brown and Kenny Chesney concert here in LA at SoFi a couple weeks ago. Is my girlfriend's sister-in-law's birthday. They got a suite and everything. I couldn't say no to it. And the music wasn't really for me, but the performances, like I had to respect that. They were up there, hour and a half, 2 hours sets, putting on a really good show. And it's something that I've come to respect a little bit more, even though that's not really my like go-to. Like I have like a 6 or 7 song playlist that's like the country songs that I like. But I definitely have come to respect it from like a performance, because there was probably 40,000, 50,000 people in attendance, and they had that place rocking.
Yeah, it's an older song, but every time Country Girl Shake It For Me comes on, I'm all for it.
That would be something special to hear that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So maybe you can slowly kind of infiltrate that locker room and get, maybe even take Cabral to one of the games so you can get some of that on the aux. I feel like that's the move. That's the guy that you need to convert.
Oh, I know. I've tried, but I can't say what he says. He says bad words, but whenever I try to play, he's like, "Oh God, this is so bad, so bad. I swear this is the worst music I've ever heard." Talks in his French accent. So yeah, it's not good.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Listen, man, we're running low on time, and this has been a lot of fun, and I know you got stuff going on, so I don't want to keep you for too long. But thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a lot of really insightful stuff coming in. I mean, especially from you guys having such a big season this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the playoffs and making a deep run.
Yeah, hitting your brace, getting your hat trick, it's coming.
Yeah.
The urban pitch boost is real.
I'm not gonna put it on you, but I will say that a handful. We don't have 100% hit rate, but I would
above
say
80%.
Above, I don't know. That's pretty high. It's above 50 for sure. That they come on the show and have a good couple games afterwards. So we might be seeing that brace or hat trick celebration here coming up in the near future.
I hope that's the case, man. Let's bring that good luck our way. So yeah, appreciate you guys having me on though. This has been a blast, and I look forward to catching up on all you guys' episodes soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Once again, Cole Bassett, thank you so much for joining the show. This has been another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, The Beautiful Game of Life. For Cole Bassett, Julio Monterosa, I'm Ramsey Abushala. We'll see you next week.